Hi, good afternoon. This is Tracy Napotnick from Salontraining.com. We're excited to have you here today. I know we had some other interviews here this morning. Today, I'm really passionate about talking with a woman, Gretchen, because she is, I call her the updo queen of the world. So I don't know if she agrees to that, but I have watched so many different updos, and Gretchen, I can't wait to talk to you because you are just phenomenal. I've watched you work. I watched your videos. I took a class from you. You're just amazing. So we'll get to you in a second. I do want to just share our our website here for a second. For those of you who are joining and maybe not know what salontraining.com is just yet, it is a platform for beauty professionals. You can go here and find trainers, classes, jobs, shows, products, marketplace. There's a give back. There's all kinds of different things. So whenever you're looking for someone to come in and teach you updos or wedding styles or something, maybe you want to learn how to hide your pins better, which we're going to talk about today, or what style goes with what face shape. You can type in here, look for categories and say, I might want to find wedding, which is normally here, and I don't know where it's at. So it is normally here, but you could just type in wedding and then Gretchen will show up. You can type in updo. So however they tag themselves is going to be here. You can open up their profile and you can read all about them, and you can see, actually, here's Gretchen's right here. Let's open this up. So, wow, I have a lot of things open. Why did I do this, Gretchen, and not have this prepared? Sorry about that. Okay, you can go in and find her email. You can find her phone number, her Facebook, her Instagram. I highly, highly, highly encourage you, everyone watching, to join her Facebook because she has beautiful things in there that she does constantly. You can look at her Instagram, her website. You can contact her and read all about her. The other things that you can find right now, if you are watching this in October 2022, we have free job listings. We know how hard it is to hire people in our salons right now, and that everybody seems to be looking. You can go in and add a job listing. And if you're looking for a job, you can go into our jobs and type in the area code. All right, that's all I want to say about this particular part right now. I'm going to stop the share and we're going to jump in with Gretchen. So Gretchen, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for your introduction. I've been doing updos since 1980 and have seen the transition of the updo world as far as, what comes and goes. And I think from all my years of doing platform and teaching, I came up with a system because it's impossible to teach updo by updo. It's best to have like almost a track to run on. So the updo system, and at updo system is my new YouTube handle. They just came out with handles on YouTube. And so it really helps. And I know it works because I do it with students every month at DeGrigley Academy in Massachusetts. And the feedback is great. And also feedback from my classes is great. So yeah, and I got some tips for you today.
Nice. What made you start getting into doing hair and especially specializing in wedding work and updos?
I've always, loved art and beauty and hair. So my Barbie dolls always had their hair done. And I think, you know what it was? It really was my babysitter, right? So this is really weird, but in the 1960s, when the women were doing the high bouffants and they were teasing their crown like Priscilla Presley, and I know that Elvis movie just came out, right?
That was awesome. Did you see it?
No, I didn't, but I read the article in Vogue on the actor, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. So I would stand on my tiptoes and try to get into the mirror, and I would poof the crown of my head to make it look like how my babysitter looked, because she was beautiful, in my eyes. So that's what came to me right now. And then when I took a break to have my kids, I took a flower arranging class, and that really helped me with the 360 texture, balance, weight, and all that symmetry stuff. So I'd always done brides, even in hairdressing school, but not in my first job. I was an assistant, so I was doing everything. But when I finally got back into it, it was just something I absolutely loved. And I think it's about making their day, is that emotional connection of being a part of someone's history.
Oh, I love that part. We've all probably, many of us in the industry that have been doing it for a long time. We remember doing the first haircut, and then we get to do their prom and their wedding, and it's like you're crying with the parents and you're crying with the child, and it's amazing what we get to do. So,
Yeah.
all right. So you are talking today about the importance of hair preparation. I think that's such a great topic. So let's hear about that. What is the importance of doing a really good prepared look for them? Being prepared.
I would say what has been lost in the industry is understanding the hair, because when products were invented, okay, so I watched the invention of so many companies over the last 40 years, and hair product was shoved down. It just was a thing. It was the season of marketing and whatnot, and people lost about the hair. So I have two heads here. This mannequin head happens to have very fine hair. You can see how flat it is. And this head, she has a denser, coarser natural hair. So the diameter of her hair strand is fatter. Doesn't mean she has more hair, but the diameter of the strand is fatter. And she probably has more hair per square inch in her head because her diameter of her strand is small. But they tend to lay flat like they're sleeping together really nice, and these guys are fighting in the bed, right? So that's the difference between the hair textures. So you should have an array of products that are going to work to smooth her hair out and fatten her hair up. So there's not one spray, there's not one product. Typically, the most difficult hair is the fine hair. And so I'll give you a tip that I always use is I have them come with clean, dry, no product hair, especially at the trial. So I want to see what their hair does when it's air dried. I want to see how much natural volume, because if she does her products and dries her hair and then comes for her trial or her wedding day, I am now working with a mystery. I don't know what's in there, right? Because she typically is not my everyday client. I don't work in a salon. I only see these people on their wedding. So clean, dry hair, no products. And it'll be frizzy. It's great. I like frizz because it's easier to throw curl and frizzy hair than then try to add curl to straight silky hair with silicone in it, right? So they can't believe what can be done with their hair when they have just let it go, and then they learn about tools and how hot curling iron works and the right product. So I would have her come this way, clean, dry, air dried, and then I like to throw in a mousse right into the dry hair. Put the mousse right into the dry hair. I want mid shaft to ends because I really can manage my fullness with my sectioning system and the puffing powders and stuff. But I need some product in here for the curl to hold. So then I blow dry the mousse in. Maybe I'll do some spray wax. Maybe I'll do some puffing powder on her crown. And then I'll section her and get the design going. And usually the best thing is to pin your curls and let them cool. While you pin her, waves, curls, whatever you're doing, let them cool and grab another head. So that way your people are popping in and out of your chair and no one gets antsy.
That's great. Okay. And you also said about hiding some pins. So
yeah,
that was a big challenge, I think, for me whenever I was starting to do that, is because I would have way too many pins in there, or you would see them and I would try to hide them whenever I was starting to do some work on this. So what's the best tips for hiding your pins?
That's so true, because then you use more pins to hide those pins.
Yep, that's what I used to do.
And and then you lose your confidence, and then your bride reads your anxiety, and then you fuss, and then you spray way too much spray, and then all her frizz comes back. Like, I understand it, and it's difficult. So in the updo system, I'll grab her. Basically, section 1 is always the front, 2 and 3 are the sides, 4 is the crown, and 5 is the back. And so then those all shift depending on what the style is, but we always can at least go in and start with creating the 4 sections and then have individual conversations about well, how much height, how much texture, how low is your bun, how high is, you know, that kind of happens. But the system lets you at least start sectioning and getting into the hair right away. So the bride's not anxious because you're not doing something right away, or you're seeming a little, you know, unsure. So in hiding the pins, and so if I have my, let me pull her back a little. If I have my ponytail in here for the maybe a low bohemian chignon, and I might want to just do some pinching, or I might want to twist and pop and then do some pins. But when it comes to bringing these sides back, if you have hair that's droopy and she's like, oh, I don't want this too droopy, you know, I want something up higher, or it's just too loose. And so the way to hide the pins is you want to always pin with the hair. So you don't want to do a vertical pin and a horizontal design. You want to do a horizontal design, and you want to get behind it. So when you have your twisting and your wrapping, and I can come in real close, you're going to want it. This is the inside of the hair. This is the outside of the hair. So you want to get to the inside of the hair, right? And you might just want to grab a couple of bits, come back. Now I have the front of the hairpin on the hair, and I have the back of the hairpin on the scalp, and I can slide it horizontally, and it's going to hold it in place, and you don't see it at all. And so that's tunnel pinning, and that's how you can hide your pins.
What did you just call that? Tunnel pinning?
Well, you know, I didn't invent tunnel pinning. I've heard the girls using that now.
Cool.
Somebody must have said it along the way. So tunnel. So it's kind of like you're creating a tunnel. It's certainly how I hid my pins in the 90s when we did all those barrel curl updos. You know, the pins were always hidden in the pin curls. So, but the most important thing is match your pins to the hair. Don't cross match.
Awesome. Thank you. That's a really great tip already right there. So even though this is an interview that I'm doing with you, I take so many notes because these are great tips. So thank you so much already.
I'll give you just another little tip on the fine hair, because sometimes you have fine hair that's super thick and there's a ton of it. I used to hide, if I know where I'm going and I know I'm going to bring my hair back, sometimes I would plant ponytails. Okay. I would call them track ponies. So right in here, there's a tiny little track pony. And so if I need to bring this hair back, maybe twist it or whatever, and get a lot of fullness, and maybe want to get a lot of pinching and pulling, but this is your fine, heavy hair. And by the time I bring it around, it's going to drop again. But I have right now, right here, a track pony, tiny little track pony. And all I need to do is, again, do my vertical pinning on the back of the hair, find that ponytail, and I can pin right into the above the ponytail or into the elastic itself, and that'll hold it in place.
That's awesome. That's so great.
Okay. So, you know, that's why I say updo system is secure updos with less pins, because I create and teach you all these little tricks.
Okay. And that's a course that you teach. So let's talk about that real quick before we get to the last part of it. So what do your courses look like? How can they reach out to you? What do you teach? Is it one-on-one? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So it's been, you know, COVID was opened up a whole new world to all of us as far as,
Yes.
you know, I've always had courses. I've had updo courses on Udemy. I've actually been selling up step-by-step courses online since 1990s.
Wow.
And they were photographs of flat step A, step B, like it wasn't a book back then, but I would put it in a PDF and I'd mail it out. So then it eventually went to digital and video and YouTube and all that kind of thing. So now it's like, I'm having taught for so long, I understand that some people can't learn by watching, they have to learn by doing. And So I try to keep the updo classes that I do are all custom. So I've had people contact me for one-on-one, and they're on their phone and I'm on mine, and I can tell what they're doing and where their arms are and what they're missing, and and help them. That it works because I've done it. And then I've also done classes like for beauty schools. Maybe they wanted just someone to talk about career day and like what can, if I focus on updos, what can I learn? What can I do for a job? So Zoom classes, one-on-one, and I have my email. And typically I try to keep it very reasonable, and I can do demos. And it's just been fun to do that, and I'm in Connecticut. So if anyone's in New England, I'd be glad to go to your salon and or your school. I've done some schools that are local.
And you're going to be teaching on the beauty cruise, right? That's
I'll be on the beauty cruise, definitely.
I know we keep talking about that with so many of the trainers on here. So Brad, like, you're putting on a really great event, and I know this is one of the trainers that are on there, so that's awesome. Okay. And possibly, maybe, and I'm going to keep talking to you about maybe she might be at the hair show in Pennsylvania. We're trying, guys, because we know she's so good. We'll come up and pick her up. I don't know. Sorry to put you on the spot there. I know we talked about it. Okay. And then you said the updo placement as far as their outfits go. You said that's really important to find out what they're wearing, what dresses, what, or for what. So let's talk about that real quick. About their neckline.
So sometimes the brides, they don't think cohesively with their outfit, with their head shape, with their hair. They don't understand their head shape or their face shape. They don't know. They just like Pinterest feeds them all the same looks, and they pick one and they bring it. And then I'm like, well, what does your dress look like? Oh, well, it's got this gorgeous lace in the bottom. I said, in the back. And they're like, okay, then you sure you want to half up, because it's going to lay on top of all your lace and you paid extra for that lace. And oh, I didn't think of that. Or maybe they just want bits and pieces. So then that's section 5, the back. So we'll talk about section 5. I had a mother of the bride come for a trial, and she brought all the typical styles. She brought half up, she brought the low bun, and then she brought a curly bun picture. So at least she had 3 pictures. So I asked her about her outfit, and she said, well, I'm wearing this wrap, and it was a very heavy satin wrap that stood up, and it almost kind of went this way, and it had a big bow in the back. So I'm like, all right, well, half down is going to get in the way of the bow. The chignon is going to compete with the bow, and so we need to do like a curly all up look. And so I hadn't even touched her hair. We've already settled on what the look's going to be. Right? I didn't waste time doing 3 different things. So the conversation about the dress is huge.
That's really good.
Neckline. Yeah. Jewelry. I had one bride. She had this whole look. We did it at the trial. She loved it. She was wearing a very long necklace that went down her middle of her back. So her jeweler said, the hair that you picked out is not going to work so we had to totally change her hair on the wedding day. So, that's shame on me. I didn't ask about the jewelry, right? I asked about the dress, but not the jewelry. So these are little things that come with experience.
Yeah. How long does it take you? And I know it's completely different depending on the style, but on average, if you were to book a bride only, how long do you book them for yourself?
I do tell the brides at the trial, we're getting to know each other. I'm getting to know your hair. So definitely I'll take 45 minutes to an hour at the trial. I said, but when it comes to the wedding day, I know what I'm doing with you, and I know what I'm doing with the girls. So I will book 2 people for each 45-minute slot and work on 2 people at once and just bang out, people. And they're up, they're down, they're getting combed out. Someone when needs more curls, she might sit longer. I might do comb outs before I comb her out. Someone, so I would say that's what I used to do. And I think what precipitated that was when I was doing proms in our town. I had a reputation, and I was always booking. The day the prom came out, the phone rang and I got booked. So I'm like, oh, I feel bad. I can't do more kids. So I would have 2 or 3 kids come together, and I would book like 2 or 3 girls at 2 o'clock, bring someone else in at 2:15, so that I could work on the 2 or 3 heads at a time and get more kids in.
That's awesome. That's cool. All right. So I question too, like frizzy. That was a problem a lot of us had at one particular time. I remember us having this whole conversation of this wedding style. Like, why were they all frizzy at that particular time? Can you talk about like maybe just ways to eliminate that?
Sure. I had another bride recently. You do the trial 6 months ahead or whatever, and she wanted a certain look. And then I said, well, you're getting married in early September, late August, whatever, I said, it's going to be hot and muggy. It could be hot and muggy. She said, oh, I didn't think about that. So that's another little piece about, frizz. And so I would ask them, are you the type of person that wants your hair to look soft, loose, natural, or do you want it to look the same all day? Because that's kind of like a personality. Some people are OCD and anxious, and they want their hair to stay and be the same way. Typically, it's the older brides and moms who are, used to that look. Today's girls are loose and soft. And then frizz is like, some artists do frizz on purpose. Some girls like that frizzy flow. You have to find out what their style is. Some hairsprays, like you're going to give it that final spray. If you use a spray with too much water, and they've got coarse hair, and then it's going to absorb that water and flow it up. You could try the anti-humectant sprays that will protect the hair from frizz. And, sometimes you just need to say, listen, it's humid, you get married outside, it's on the beach, and let's pick a style that won't matter,
True.
And then I think what happens is when they talk about that frizz problem, it's more about their photography. It's more about their pictures. Like, I don't like how my pictures come out. That's a whole other ball game, because if you learn about your settings, and there's a girl in the Updo group who just does photography. She's a photographer, but also a wedding person. So she has a whole group on that. So if you fix your settings, or you play with your contrast, or you play with your lighting, you position the person not with backlight. You need the light in front of their face. Like, I'm in front of a big giant light right now. I wouldn't want the light back here, right? It causes shadows, and then you'd see every flyaway. So don't take pictures of your brides in front of a window, at the trial. Like, I can't post this. It looks terrible. You got to have a little bit of a plan when you're going to do your pictures. And most of that is it can be fixed with your camera settings. Trust me, the people who have the most gorgeous photos on there aren't the best, amazing people. They know how to do their photos.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you saw it a few minutes ago, but the sun was shining right in here, and it had all these different shadows. So even knowing what time of the day, if you're using, window, in front of light and stuff. So
yeah,
that's really cool.
And it's important to know that ahead of time. It's important to have it in your spirit, saying like, listen, this is my business. I need to promote my work. I need content for my socials, because I would always feel bad. I don't want to make everyone stand around while I get my photos and it's all about me, so I try to get most of my photos at the trial, and then I just kind of do candids at the wedding day. And sometimes the wedding party is too big and I just don't have time. So, but if you really, then make your assistant your photographer, scope the room out as soon as you get it. Think about how you're going to take your pictures before you even start. If you really need to boost your social.
I know prices can vary really depending on where you're at. And I know we're getting close to time, but just curious, do you charge full price for your trial? How do you work your prices for trials?
I always consider the trial is my chance to win her. So to me, the trial is more about psychology than it is hair, because I want to learn about her and ask her questions. And, the most important thing is, well, how did you come to picking that hairstyle? Like, what attracted you to this photo? You get so much information. That has got to be the first question. Be like, oh, I really don't care about it. My friend told me to bring it. Or I couldn't find any others, and I had this one at the last 3 weddings. Or, there's all these weird reasons. And so that helps me know how to necessarily. I know you asked me. I gotta go back. I lose
That's
track.
okay. Like you yeah,
Pricing,
price.
pricing. So I don't. I have a package. So basically, if you want me, and this is my current price, you want me, I'm $350, and I will do up to 3 people. So if you just want me, it's $350, and the trial is included. If you want a couple of kids, that's fine. If you have 6 to 7 girls, and maybe I'm just going to do you, your mom, and the maid of honor, or then it becomes per person if there's more added on.
Okay, that's cool.
But I have a minimum.
Yeah.
I have a minimum before I'll get in my car.
That makes sense. I mean, you're the one, you're driving. So you said, for those that may be watching here now.
And so like you said, right? So 20 years ago, my minimum was 500, because in the 80s, people were putting out 80s and 90s. I was living in Southern Connecticut, so I was doing a lot of weddings in New York City, and I was networking in New York City. And so like if you wanted, and I had brides who hired me, just me for them for $500. And this is, in the 90s. But now I moved up to state, and I'm in farm country, and I'm closer to Boston, and I wanted content for my pages.
Yeah.
So, I didn't price myself out of my area. I researched what everyone around me was doing on their Facebook page and their websites. And I also connected wedding planners. And so I settled on that $350 price.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about what prices should be where based on this, and everybody has their own pot, whatever works for you. Like if you have a lot of expenses at your salon, obviously you're not doing that, right? You'd actually just travel to them, so you have travel expenses and stuff.
Right.
So I am so thankful that you were on here today, because you had a lot of great tips. And like you said, we'll turn this into a YouTube video. And in the links later when we get off here, would you mind putting in your particular Facebook so that they can find you there?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you later. And I couldn't find my mouse. I have Facebook over there. So thank you guys. I hope you have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.